Welcome to The Fiber, brought to you by Live Oak Fiber, where we weave together the stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and changemakers who are the very fabric of their communities. Join us as we spotlight those who embody the spirit of connection, resilience, and progress. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into The Fiber. My name is Garret O'Leary. I'm going to be your host today, but I have a very exciting guest to introduce to you is Rebekah Manley. Rebekah, thank you so much for coming in, and I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, but take it away.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I love the office. It looks amazing here if anybody hasn't toured it yet. So I guess a little bit about me is I originally was raised on a farm in Alabama, went to school at Auburn, and then I ended up moving down here to Destin, Florida in August of 2017. Originally worked for a criminal defense attorney. Absolutely loved it. But, you know, after a year there, I was like, I don't know if I want to be in this type of negativity day in and day out. Me and the attorney are still good friends today. Absolutely love her, but the job itself, I was like, ooh, you know, it's criminal defense. Like, you know, what do you expect?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I did that, and then I ended up switching over to video production after I had a breakdown of like, what am I going to do with my life? I went over to video production, and then from there, I was in there for about 3 years or so working with Bobby, and then went into real estate kicking and screaming. And most people have probably heard that story of just like, I had to learn how to be still, and I absolutely hated it. But once I was still, it sort of led me down this path, and sort of like a red carpet was rolled out for me. So everything just started lining up beautifully. And so I started working in real estate. And then once I got into real estate, I started seeing a lot of problems within traditional construction, which led me to now building my own company for construction and development that's, you know, basically going to be creating net zero, or trying to get net zero, eventually get net zero, right? Net zero hurricane resistant housing using 3D printing technology and other like upcoming technologies. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's a long term. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. I know. So when you got into real estate, when did you get into real estate? When did you get your license, or?
It was April 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not super long.
You
have any experience, anyone you knew that was kind of, I know obviously Destin and the Emerald Coast, every other person you meet is a real estate agent. So
right.
I'm assuming you had some knowledge of real estate and it kind of pushed you that way, just the excitement of what it can be for a career-wise. Is that something that kind of pushed you to start doing that at least?
So it's actually a funny story of how I got into real estate. And I won't go too into like all the details, but basically, so I'm very woo-woo-y. Everybody knows that I'm pretty much like very woo-woo-y, but I absolutely love it. And because I love magic and I love all the different things. And so for my birthday, my sister and her boyfriend ended up getting me a reading done for my birthday, because I was like, I've always wanted to get a reading done.
Like the tarot cards?
Not really tarot cards, but more like birth chart reading is what it was.
Yeah.
And I just always had wanted one done. I'm like, this seems so fun. So anyways.
You're like, I'm in.
I know, I'm in. Let's go. Let's see. And, you know, it starts off with like the generic, like, you know, this is your lucky number, this is your lucky day, like blah, blah, blah. But then she got into like, all your money's in real estate, all your money's in real estate. And she just kept saying it over and over again. And I was just like, okay. So anyways, afterwards, I got a call from my sister's boyfriend, who's a mentor of mine. And he was just like, what'd you think when she kept saying real estate? And I was like, everybody and their mom is a real estate agent. Like, I'd really rather not.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so he was just like, I think you need to like think about it different. Don't think of it of just like buying and selling homes. Like, he's like, you got to think a little bit bigger about it. And then basically a week passed, and on my actual birthday, he ended up doing a mentoring session with me in what he calls a road mapping session. And basically it starts off with a meditation of going into this place of everything is done. And then from bringing that person here and now having the conversation of what your passions are and everything like that. So by the end of that conversation, he was like, okay, can we agree that everything here on the right is your passions, everything here on the left are your vehicles? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, would you be surprised to know that 85% of your passions all have to do with real estate? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I need us to do this again.
Yeah.
But it was basically all about like saving land and building sustainable communities and like, you know, all that different kind of stuff. So that's actually what got me to sort of get into real estate. And he challenged me for the month of December to be still, December of 2020. And he was like, you got to learn how to be still. Quit thinking you had to do something all the time. And so I literally spent the month of December 2020 like meditating and doing yoga. And I was like, I don't know what else to do. And then in January, I started getting a lot of ideas around holistic realtor, which is what people know me as now. And so that was being able to take all the things that I love with health and wellness and just like beings in general and be able to put them in a home that they'll best thrive in. And so that's sort of what got me into real estate. And then from there, it sort of went into like, wait, but we need the environment as well. And then, that's what led me down this other path. So
it's a fun path.
So it's a crazy story, but that's what it is.
I mean, I guess you got to find your way into it somehow.
Exactly.
Kind of the same experience I had when I was getting through my younger part of my career. And I was in the sports industry, moved out here January of 2020. And then what happens a month and a half later? COVID. So the sports industry gets shut down for me. So I was like, I need to find a whole different career, more or less. I was always in marketing, but in the sports sense of it. So it was a little bit different. But once COVID hit, I had to find a whole new career path because obviously sports were shut down for what? Year and a half, 2 years. So I was like, all right, let's just figure something out. And I ended up working for his name was Tim Whittemore. He was is a real estate agent.
I know the name.
And worked for his team for a little bit. I was like their executive assistant when I first got out here and did YouTube and started editing, doing some photos. And that's kind of not where I first got started doing like videography and things like that, but started learning in real estate, and especially around here. I mean, coming from California, real estate's huge, but it's such a different ball game compared there to here. I mean, right here is just like the tourists and everything fun. You come here to actually enjoy your life, and you go back to California, you're like, okay, time to work myself to death.
For sure.
Switching careers like that, it's a little bit scary. I mean, were you scared to kind of, obviously doing all the meditation and really kind of probably reflecting on like, is this really where I want to go? Was there any type of hesitancy to kind of follow that? Knowing that it was like again, working for a criminal defense attorney to then going to real estate, maybe not super different. But
I know, right? It's like I'm still dealing with some weird folks,
you're still doing a lot.
But I had a lot of resistance between there, and that's where the being still really started helping, is because when I'm in that space of just complete stillness and at my highest and best, I can see the path of what I'm doing. And it's not just real estate. I didn't get in it to buy and sell homes. Like, to me, that's not fulfilling. Like, for me, it's actually putting people in a place that they feel safe in. And, which is what led me to, like, try to revolutionize the building industry, because one thing led to another, and I'm like, wait, no. So the role that I am as a real estate agent is small compared to where I know that I'm going. If that makes sense.
No, you're still at the beginning. You're taking those small steps to get there.
I'm absolutely terrified. Absolutely terrified.
It's I mean, especially as an agent. My brother is an agent as well, so it's knowing that you're taking someone that's more than likely, the first-time home buyer. Making that huge investment, especially in today's market where everything's just so expensive.
Exactly.
Buying a new build is, I mean, again, signing 30 years of your life to hopefully you can pay for it. But even getting the homes that are a little bit older, I mean, I guess for you, when you first make contact with a new client that wants to buy, whether they're first-time home buyer or this is their 10th home after PCSing 15 different places. For being a holistic realtor, what does that look like from the client's perspective? Like when they come to you, what do you try to kind of instill in them to understand that I'm coming from a place that I want you to be in the best home possible, not just getting you in a home because it's my commission and that's how I pay my bills, but also knowing that it's, this is their long-term investment. What does that look from from their end coming from you? Like what is why are you the holistic realtor?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that. So for me, I think it's always starting with the initial conversation that I have with them, and which will, I guess, defer me. Is that a word? Defer me from everybody else, is because I ask them a lot of questions, and it's not the how many bedrooms, how many whatever, how many square feet, how many bedrooms, all that. And that's important and that's fine. But it's more of just like, what do you love to do? Like, what is your passions? What is, what gets you excited? And I always ask people, and it's my favorite question to ask people, and I'll ask you at the end of this as well, and so I'm giving you time to think about it.
All right, I'll do my best.
Is tell me one thing that you're most excited for yourself for accomplishing this year. It can be personal or it can be business, doesn't matter. So I like to get those deeper questions in. And so I sort of, at times I've sort of labeled it as like intuitive sales because I've actually had a few clients that, and now, probably my bosses would kill me if they do this, but here we go.
Listen in right now.
I know, exactly. But basically, I got them to go to even a different state to buy a home because I'm just like, they're like, oh, well, my parents always told me I need to invest. So I want a home here because people come here and I need to invest. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Like, what do you love to do? Like, and stuff. And so once we got to the bottom of it, they love the mountains. They love the woods. They loved like all these things. And I was like, why are you in Florida?
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me different is because I'm not here for the commission. Like, yeah, it's great. But at the same time, I would rather you be happy. And if you're happy, then you're going to be giving back to your community, wherever that might be. So that's the initial thing that makes me different. And then on the back end, so say we've gone through the selling process and we found a home that they best thrive in, or actually as we're walking through homes, the first thing that I say to them is just like, listen, I'm only here to make the process go smoothly. Other than that, you're going to know if the house is for you or not.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to know. And so, like, your gut has more neurotransmitters than your brain does. So learn to listen to it.
Yeah.
So I do little things like that through the whole selling process. And then and then, of course, keeping them calm through the selling process. Yeah. And then at the end of the process, yeah, exactly. And so after closing, because I am more connected to the community of the wellness community anyways, and I'm really into holistic health, then now I'm able to plug them in with those people. So whether it be a chiropractor or a massage therapist or a yoga instructor or whatever, I'm able to plug them in. So now they're automatically getting plugged into the community. Okay. So for me, that's what makes me different.
So your focus is beyond just the home. It's everything related to the area and especially something that relates to them.
Yeah. It's about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I see that. That's excellent. I know there's a lot of realtors around here that probably just, they'll push you to whatever they want you to buy.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. I mean, I guess there's a place for those type of people that need to, sell and sell and sell. But I mean, especially I recently bought my house. I think we closed in December and then renovated. Oh, so it's about
that's a job.
I always say I would never do it again. But I don't know if I can make that promise to myself.
I know, that's very fair.
It was
that's
such a hassle.
Never say never.
No, it's fun. It's a fun process, but oh my God, it's just so much. But it's interesting to hear you say it because again, when we found this house, my brother was the realtor, so he kind of he knows what I want. He knows what I'm looking for. And then my fiance, when we purchased it, she was with me too. So like we knew exactly what we were kind of looking for, but we also wanted to choose the neighborhood because that meant more to us than the actual house. We knew we could change it to what we wanted to. So at least knowing that there's other realtors that actually care about that is a good thing. And for everybody that's watching, you know who to contact.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I got you.
Yeah. I guess so. Moving on from there, I know the NAR recently got out of a lawsuit. Now, I've read up a little bit. Do you know anything about that? I know it was because I'm not fully versed on what actually happened and how that's going to affect real estate agents because I know it's on the buying side. Do you know anything about it or have you looked into it at all?
So, I'm not going to go too in depth with it just because I am not well versed in it. But I think like the main thing is currently sellers were paying both commissions, both the buyers and the sellers' commissions. And so I think that was like the root of the problem. Just like, wait, why are we doing this? So now it's more so the buyers, I think it's more so like the buyers are having that opportunity to now pay the commission. But like I said, I don't really go into it because I don't know it that well. But that's basically it, is the buyer-seller's commission. is what it's about.
Yeah, I know that changes a lot of the relationships that agents will have with their clients because, I mean, obviously, especially as a new agent, I know you're going to be working with a lot of buyers. Getting listings, especially as a new agent or even a moderately experienced one a few years, is a difficult task. I mean, listings aren't easy to deal with. So I imagine this is going to have a bigger impact on the greater real estate market. I think nothing comes into play until like July, right? Is that kind of?
Correct. Yeah. And basically with the buyers too, it's Well, and it's sort of a good and bad thing, I guess. I mean, I guess everything has a good and bad thing to it. But basically, we're now going to be required to have a buyer's agreement of just like, hey, like you're working with me. And so buyers typically, they'll work with multiple agents, and the agents aren't aware that they're working with multiple agents a lot of times. Like you can ask them, but sometimes they tell the truth, sometimes they don't, because they're just trying to find a good deal, and I don't blame them. But now it's going to make it hard for them to do that, because now they are going to have some type of agreement with them. Yeah. So
it's going to be an interesting approach, because obviously from your perspective, it's more than just, it's you're catering that relationship, you're building it, you're finding them the right home. But again, you're going to have some issues. I feel like, imagine real estate market is very, not cutthroat, but it can be pretty brutal. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to get the home they need, and it's going to be about doing whatever they possible to get their home. So I imagine it's going to make some waves, and I guess we'll figure out how that comes about in July. But I guess moving on from there, like you said, you have looked at the real estate market as something that needs to be changed, needs to evolve to focus more on sustainability, environmentalism. Why exactly did you decide that is something you wanted to take on? Because obviously the real estate industry, building is such a huge industry. I mean, we're talking billions, if not trillions of dollars, probably. Yeah. What was there a tipping point where you're like, this is something I would care about, and this is something I want to do something about? Can you?
So there's a couple of moments that sort of, I guess, combined together. One of those moments was while I was working video production, we were basically hired for Gulf County to do videos after Hurricane Michael. And basically the idea was we do these videos right after Hurricane Michael. We come back a few months later and do videos. And the idea of it was to be like, hey, we're rebuilding. Everybody come back and visit us. That was like the idea of the videos. So,
and that was from the county that wanted to do that?
So the TDC, yeah. So Gulf County TDC, yep. And so from there, so we videoed after Hurricane Michael, which, completely devastating.
That was in 2018,
and
right?
Yeah, that's 2018, yep. And so it was just very sad. Like, and for me, being from Alabama, I've never, like, of course you see hurricanes on TVs and all that kind of stuff, but like, it's nothing like being there, like, in person, like
seeing the
witnessing the people, and like it's just sad.
Yeah.
And so we went through, we did that, and then we came back a few months later, and we were now supposed to be videoing, they're rebuilding, yay us, come back and see us. And so, but what I realized is, after all that devastation, I was watching them rebuild everything the exact same way that just got destroyed.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And so that was like the first like little like tipping point with it. And then some of my first clients had just come from a hurricane in Louisiana. And I'm putting them in a home, and they had lost everything.
Yeah. And
so that was another thing of just like, as I'm showing homes and, and got them a great house, it's all good. But it got me thinking, I'm like, but a lot of these houses like are not going to last. Like they're not going to last. If a hurricane comes through here, it's gone. Like it is gone. And they're only getting stronger. And so that's what sort of made me. So after combining that with my vision board that I had made out during me and my mentor session, my ideas and dreams just kept getting bigger and bigger, and it's just a calling that I had, I guess, is like the main thing. It's just more of a calling, and I didn't see anybody else doing it, and nobody seemed like they really cared, and I'm sure that there are people that do, but I haven't met them. And so anyways, it ended up, getting me to go to my brokers and be like, hey, like if, because they do a lot of development too, and I was like, hey, if we are going to be building houses, can we make them more resilient? Can we make them more sustainable? Can we make them more this and more that? And by the time the conversation was done, they're like, we love the idea, we don't know that much about it. Like, what we're doing is working. So if you want to figure it out, we're behind you 100%.
Yeah.
We just don't know anything about it. And so I was like, okay. And so anyway, so from there, I just kept on going and kept on going and kept on going. And I've had a lot of conversations with people where I'm just like, there's been many times where I've been like, I should just quit, because it is hard.
Yeah.
Like I'm a 28-year-old female walking into architecture firms and engineering firms and talking to general contractors, and I don't know much about construction.
Yeah.
Like I'm just more of a visionary of just like, no, this needs to be
throwing
done.
Out the
though.
idea and hoping they can.
Yeah, exactly. And things need to change, and there's a way to do it. I know there is. Like, don't never tell me you can't do something. Like there's always a way. So it's just been that calling, and even whenever I've been like, what if I just quit? That thought comes across my mind for 0.2 seconds, And I'm like, it's not an option.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really not an option. And
Yeah.
that's really how I feel. So, like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, some people don't like it, but I am going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of that, it's a calling.
Yeah.
So
is the next steps for that is it getting in contact with some of the major builders throughout the nation, or working with the counties, cities, or even like the state to get building codes altered, adjusted, improved? Or is it, you know, are you to deliver something like tangible, like a product, or I guess working with these engineering firms? What's the next step to actually getting this off the ground and moving in the right direction? So any new house that gets built, or even maybe renovating or improving existing homes, is that something that you're considering too, or is it just the new builds?
No, great question. And all of it.
Everything.
Basically all of it.
Yeah.
But I guess to answer your question a little bit better is, you know, yes, we are going to have a tangible like product because people are scared of things that they don't understand. So we have to have a product that people can like walk, touch through, see, like witness, let it go through a hurricane, like, you know what I mean? And and see what it can do and what technology can do. So that's like one of the first things. The next step would be like, you know, at least what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to change the building standards for the state of Florida and basically for the U.S. is what I would love to do. And we are now in a position where I have got connected to a lot of these, you know, city elected officials and state, you know, representatives and all of that. And it's so cool because everybody, they genuinely do want what's best and they are trying to solve the housing crisis. I've seen it at the national level.
Yeah.
They are. That's what they want to do. They just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, and a lot of, you know, politicians get in there because like they're good with people, like that's what they do, but they're not engineers, they're not architects, they're not scientists, so they don't know how to deal with the problems. So they get in and, you know, they're trying and they, you know, got in there on good intention, but then they're like, now what do we do?
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that I can sort of bring that answer and that solution to them. And then from there, yes, go and change the standards. And then from there, you know, now it's sort of gonna, I don't like saying force, but, you know, make builders do it better.
Yeah.
Like if you're not doing it in this way, don't do it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's not like taking people's jobs. It's no, do it the right way.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So all of it.
Yeah. It's lots. Okay. Yeah. And then I guess from there, does that change any cost perspective from buyers? And because I imagine, unfortunately, we live in a world where doing the right thing often costs a little bit more. So
who's paying for it?
Yeah, really. Yeah. So when it comes to like sourcing materials, because I know you want, obviously sustainability and environmentalism is vital, especially keeping this whole area as gorgeous as it is.
Right, yeah.
When it comes to sourcing these materials, are we trying to do it in a more, I guess, sustainable probably way would be the best way to put it, but is it going to be locally sourced, or is that going to be, has any thought gone into what it's going to cost, like the ultimate in the end user, the buyer?
Yeah, so glad you asked, because one of my main things was I wanted to make it affordable for people. And because like that's my main thing is I think that everybody deserves a place that they feel safe in. And, you know, for me, and for most people, it's home. Like, you know, and when your like root is taken care of, your security, food, water, shelter, you know, when that's taken care of, you now are able to show up better. Yeah. So like for me, I wanted to make it affordable so people can do that. So to answer your question right now with projections that we've got going and so with the projections that we've got going, we're wanting it to be at and below traditional cost. And the projections that we have it at to 20% below traditional cost.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, which is awesome. And to explain that a little bit further is the first thing is you got to think about is waste. And so with traditional construction, 30% of those materials go to the landfill. So that's 150 million tons that go into landfill every year. Like, so, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. But anyways.
it's almost unthinkable numbers.
Exactly.
I mean, it really is. Like, you can't even comprehend something like that.
No, you can't. And when you don't see it, you don't think nothing about it. And that's, you know, some people are like, oh, well, I don't want to know. Like same thing with like, I don't want to know where my food comes from. Okay, well, you're going to have to because eventually. That's the problem. Yeah. Like that's the problem that we're all in. So anyway, so all of that goes to landfill. And so you're paying for all these extra materials that you don't even need. Some, you know, some boards that are cut and some that you just don't even need. So with 3D printing technology, you're able to send a 3D rendering to that printer for it to print the home, right? So you already know exactly how much materials you need before you even start printing that home.
Yeah.
So, so you're going to cut down on waste, but also cut some cost with materials because you know exactly how much you need. And then the second part is labor. And some people freak out when I say, oh, it's going to help with labor because you cut so much on labor. But at the same, so it's like, oh, you're taking our jobs. No, like
paid by the job. Probably.
I know, exactly. I'm like, well, first of all, there's a labor shortage. And second of all, no, it's just taking the jobs that cause injuries, which, workman's comp, like all the different things, and it's just the repetitive jobs that typically nobody wants or it's underpaid.
Yeah.
So it's allowing the machine to just take over those and allow humans to do what we do, which is the creative side, the craftsmanship, like making the home feel like a home. A machine can't make a home feel like a home. That's where humans are needed, is to give that love, like, into it. So it's going to cut so much on labor. So now you don't have 30 dudes smoking cigarettes, slinging boards around. Like, you've got, you got 3 people on site that's working the printer.
Yeah.
So, so that's basically like the gist of how you're able to save on the cost.
Okay.
And, a lot of the people that work in this industry are like, it's so hard to put them side by side, but at the same time, I'm like, no, you sort of can, because if you're making a better product, so say it's the exact same price. We'll just say it's the exact same price, but you got one house that's going to be able to withstand 160 mile per hour winds. You got one house that can withstand 245 mile per hour winds. You got one that has all of the cheapest products in it because it was put up quickly, or you've got one that has all energy efficiency, which is going to save you on your monthly costs. Like, which one are you going to go with? Yeah. So it's just even if you did pay more, you're paying more for quality. But right now, with the projections that we all have and a lot of companies are having, is like, that's not going to be the case. Yeah. And so that's why, D.R. Horton just now partnered with Opus Core, which is a 3D printing company. Okay. And so, like, the largest home builder, thank God they needed help. So, throwing up their products, very cheaply. So anyways, so I'm glad that they're going to use 3D printing technology to cut down on their waste. And I'm hoping that will change some other methods that they've got going on. But yeah, so more and more people are going over to it. And what it's looking like right now is, like, within 10 years, like, insurance will not insure a stick-built home. Yeah. Like,
wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
and I don't blame them.
Just the problems that we're having now. I mean, it's remarkable.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can bring it back to the cost, and if you can get a better product, then your insurance is going to go down. Yeah. Like,
at least you'd hope.
Yeah, you would hope. And that's what we're hoping, is to be able to partner with insurance companies to be like, hey, like, if you can go through this product and touch and feel and do your own inspection and see that it's, like, indestructible, like, can you give a set rate for our customers? And so that's, like, the goal with what we're trying to do.
Is there already preliminary kind of conversations going on with some insurance companies that might be on, like, a pilot program to do that? Because I know, what is it right now? Like, a lot of insurance companies are either folding or just leaving Florida. Is that going to be something they're, like, happy to come back or start to open up different offices or different options? Because I know, the amount of people I know that are just on Citizens just because it's the cheapest option. Is that something that they're going to be willing to be like, well, yeah, we're in for this either fully 3D printed home or some sort of combination of a traditional and 3D printed? Is this something that they're actually interested in?
So I can't really share that, but what I can say is there are conversations happening. Okay,
good to know. I like that. Yeah. Because I know that's a huge concern. It was my concern when I first purchased. I mean, again, the costs associated with buying a house, for any new home buyers, we can go through that real quick if you really wanted to.
I know. Yeah,
it's expensive. I mean,
101.
Yeah, you forget how much money goes into just buying your home right away. Yeah, for most people, you're not a VA. Oh, maybe around here. Most people are probably VA around here. Most the rest of us have to do the 3.5% or up to 20%, depending on where you're at. But even then, the average price of a home is what? It's $350 around here? Going up, maybe?
I was like, it depends on where you're at. Like,
what street you're on. It could be the next one. Yeah.
It can be anywhere from, like, 300 to, like, 700 being, like, the average. So, like, it just depends on where you're at.
Yeah, and that's the biggest concern with the cost of life increasing around here, or just nationwide, globally even. It's a concern for a lot of people. So I know the cost, as much as you have talked about it already, it's a breath of fresh air, I would say. Just so knowing that, people like me and in our generation are actually be able to afford homes and not have to dump every last penny they have in their bank account, just buy their home. And that's if they have to renovate. I mean,
for sure.
Just for me alone, again, I think, what was our down payment? 18,000, I think, which is a huge amount, which I didn't plan on doing.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like a 3.5%, like that seems like nothing, but all of a sudden that jumps up to
Yeah.
10, 12, 13, 14, $15,000, which
Exactly.
I would say most people, that's their whole bank account. So it's enlightening. And I guess going from there, we've talked about cost. We've talked about production. How is it? Are you going to try to keep your eyes on like D.R. Horton or some of the major home builders that are incorporating 3D printing, I guess, elements to their buildings? Is that something that you need to focus on just to get the ideas or to see how it works, to see if it can be mixed with like traditional building? Or is it just going to be focused on a full 3D printed home along other things that you guys are working on?
Right. So I always keep my eyes on D.R. Horton and stuff for many reasons, and I won't go into that. But basically, so we're not only going to be using 3D printing. I typically talk about 3D printing just because it's so new and and I'm trying to just get people comfortable with it. Is, that's the reason I talk about it so much. But there are other elements that we're going to be adding into it, such as like modular construction, like precast and like all of that. So we're going to be combining a lot of things, and sort of what I tell people is like, all of the technology is out there and all of it exists, just nobody's putting it together.
Yeah.
And so basically that's what we're doing. And I can't go too in depth with that, but that's basically where we're at.
Okay.
I am very familiar with how it can be incorporated with traditional construction, and some people like Icon, they did a really good job as far as they did some houses in, I think it was Austin, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Austin, and they basically had the bottom of it 3D printed, and then they did traditional for the second floor. So you can combine it in different ways like that. 3D printing companies right now are just doing traditional roof systems. I didn't want to do that because that's the first thing that fails during a hurricane. So we've got some really cool things coming with the roofing structures as well that I can't talk about, but just know that it's coming. So yeah, it's just different things like that. So I will be watching them, just and honestly, it's just I hope that they do better. Like all I ask is just do better. Quit just they've been quoted saying we just want to turn and burn houses. What's the cheapest product you have? Like,
that's one of the biggest problems the nation's facing is a housing shortage. So it makes sense to turn and burn, but it's
I get it,
at the detriment to us people.
Exactly. And the storms are just getting stronger. So like with every destruction and reconstruction project, you're wasting all these resources. Like, so, and then now the family's out for a while you're rebuilding their home and taking forever. So like, it's not helping anybody. Like, so that's why I'm like, if you'll just do it right, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it right. Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Long road ahead, I'm assuming, right?
It's about to go really quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready to like announce certain things over in the I guess coming months or weeks, or is it still like touch and go?
We're gonna do some soft launching things coming up really soon. Really. But anyways, and then our first major project will be the big one, and all of that's already worked out as well. So,
okay.
But I'm super excited to share. I hate that I'm always like, but I can't really share that yet.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
I am super excited, and everybody will be the first to know. Like whenever I am able to launch, I'll definitely let you know. Yeah, we'll come back on here and talk about it.
So I guess right now it's all about educating everyone.
Exactly.
So what resources do you recommend any viewers or just anybody you talk to look into kind of like what you're doing and how that's going to impact them in the future when they go to buy or anything like that? What resources do you recommend, or follow Thea? It's just Thea, right? So
here we go. So basically, right now I'm using my my business, basically my personal business, so my real estate side. I'm using that as my platform right now. Thea is going to be launching here soon.
Okay.
But
hopefully I didn't spoil anything.
No, you're good. So Thea's going to be launching soon, but with that, so if you want more on Thea in particular and what we've got coming down the pipeline, then you can go to our website, so theadevelopment.com, and we can drop a link or whatever, and you can sign up for our newsletter. I know y'all love some newsletters, but that is going to be the first place that you're going to hear the most about it. And then other than that, on my personal business page, I guess is how I'll say that, on Instagram and Facebook, you can find me on there, and I do a lot of like education things. Yeah. But other than that, so if you're just trying to like learn about it and you're just like, oh, this is completely new, what's going on? YouTube University. Yeah. Like YouTube University or Google, and it's got so much, and I always point to Icon. Icon does a great job, and they, their shift is sort of focusing, or their focus is shifting more towards working with NASA and trying to, 3D print things on the moon and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. But yeah, so just get on Google, get on YouTube, and you can type in 3D printed homes, like the pros and cons of it, and, just all the different things. And then please message me if you have any ideas or have any questions, and I will do my best to get those answers, because I typically want to know too.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that are interested. Again, anything to get a stronger house, more reliable, and having anything that's going to withstand Category 5 hurricanes. I think we're lucky that in the Destin area, we've kind of avoided a lot of these major hurricanes.
No, absolutely.
So we might be in those, that twilight zone where it's like, oh, we don't get affected, but eventually it's going to, I don't want to be morbid about it. Eventually it's got to happen.
Yeah.
One's going to hit us, and we don't want to see that destruction. So moving from there, is there any initiatives that you're trying to push just in our local area to help people prepare for these type of hurricanes or any natural disasters with some of the ideas that you're trying to push forward? Is there anything that you can do now or in the near future that, whether they contact you or kind of work with your team, is there anything that local people can do now to kind of get that moving and making sure that they're safe for anything that could happen?
So I guess the first thing that people can do, and not having to do anything with my company at all, is just make sure you have a good roof, and make sure you have a good windows and doors. That's the main things, because once there's a compromise in the envelope of the house, that's what causes the roof to go.
Yeah.
So garage doors and your regular doors and your windows, you need hurricane impact windows, so those are the main things that people need to be considering is, if you're not going to do anything else, roof, windows, doors, garage doors, all of that, please. And then other than that, I would just keep an eye on what we've got going on. And yes, you can look into 3D printing technology. You can look at the different companies, and they've got it going on. And a lot of people are still in the research and development phase. And so it's still going to take a little bit. But definitely you can, shoot me a message, or, call me, whatever you need to do. And we can talk through some other things. But that's basically, if I had just any advice to give people, it's just your windows, doors, roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All very important.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
So jumping back into I guess traditional real estate.
Yeah.
Now we've gone over Thea, we've gone over kind of everything that you're hoping to accomplish soon, and we're very excited for all your announcements coming soon.
Yeah.
With the real estate market coming up, I want to get your expert opinion on what we're looking at over the next 6 months or so. I know last year, if I remember correctly, the Fed had announced they were thinking about dropping interest rates, but we haven't seen that happen. So where do you see the real estate market in our little piece of paradise heading? What do you predict? Anything like that? Anything you want to share with us?
So it's really hard. Yeah, so it's really hard to make predictions in that, just because I'm always I don't know, history is always going to repeat itself, because if we don't do anything to change anything, nothing's going to change, right? So I think it's going to do what it always does, which is, it goes up really high, then it takes a dip, and then it goes up high, then it takes a dip. And so I think we're just going to continue on that little roller coaster. I don't really see the insurance rates budging that much. If anything, I don't see them really budging that much. And I don't blame them. Again, it comes down to they don't have anything to rely on, because at the same time, so insurance companies, they're betting that nothing happens to that house.
Yeah.
You as a buyer and homeowner, you're betting something's happening with the house. That's why you pay for insurance. That's what insurance is. Exactly. So right now, neither of them are confident in the house. So
it's just, everybody's hoping for the house to be destroyed.
Everybody sort of knows that it's probably going to get destroyed.
I'll burn it down right now.
Exactly, right? And so that's sort of why I say that my prediction is I don't think they're going to budge much until we get newer construction. And I don't mean new traditional construction. I mean new age construction. And whether it be the ICF homes, which are more expensive, but ICF homes, even the cinder block homes are fine. 3D printing is just taking away that labor aspect of somebody, laying brick by brick, stuff. So in keeping in mind, if you are looking to build, I would definitely keep your eyeballs on the new construction, like 3D printing technology. I really would, because even if you own a lot, if you can just hold out for a little bit, and I know you want your home and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, like, you want it done right.
Yeah.
If you are waiting for your dream home, then you don't need it to get destroyed.
It's a huge investment, so make sure
exactly. And, you know, the World Economic Forum just came out and was saying that they're looking at adding a Category 6 hurricane because all the hurricanes are getting so close to high fives. And so our homes just aren't built to withstand that, you know? So they can't even handle a 3, like, much less like, you know, a 5 or a 6, you know? So that's why I say, like, I understand that people get excited and they want to build their home and get it going and, like, let's go. But at the same time, like, there's so many different technologies coming out to where it's going to allow people to just have a way better home and way more geometrical freedom to where you can literally create whatever you want.
Design whatever you'd like.
Design whatever you want with it. And it's not even going to cost extra, you know? So it's easier for a 3D printer to do a round corner than a corner, you know, stuff. So it's just little things like that. So if you are looking to build a home, I would hold out and look at all the technologies coming in and find what works for you, whether it's the precast, whether it's modular, whether it's ICF, I don't care. But, like, I would hold out and look at that. I wouldn't just bust up one traditionally and be like, oh, yay, here we go. And then the hurricane come through and it's gone. Yeah. So
is there any difference? I just thought of this question, just was interested. When it comes to doing, whether it's 3D printed, I know obviously there's a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
Is there any difference in, like, maintenance costs, like, for the average home buyer? I don't know about you, but just the other day, my garage door decided to just stop working, and that's just maintenance. Is there any difference in what your yearly or annual maintenance costs for a traditional house compared to something that's built with what you have envisioned, whether it's full 3D printed? Like, is it just more reliable? Is it more durable? Or is it going to cost the homeowner around the same just to maintain their home?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. And honestly, I think that with people that are living in the 3D printed homes now, I don't know if they've lived in them long enough to really be able to give us, like, a solid answer on that. You know, right now it's just like, it's more durable and all that. And, you know, for the outside and the inside, some people, I get this question a lot, that's why I'm sort of addressing it, is, you know, well, I don't like the lines, you know, and I'm like, okay, great, smooth it. Like, you know, so you can either smooth it, you can stucco it, you can do whatever. And then on the inside, sort of same thing. You can put up drywall if you want to. You don't really have to, but you can if you want to.
So your home would basically just look like a traditional home. It's just going to have the bones of something completely different.
Exactly. It's going to look like a traditional home if you want it to. Now, some designs that we're working on, we're looking more into, like, the futuristic, like, we want to build around nature and incorporate nature into it, like biomimicry designs, because I think that that's the way the future's going, because we forgot we are a part of nature.
That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's what needs to be done. And, you know, we always, like, I'm always saying, oh, silly little humans. We think we think we know more than nature. But we need to be looking to nature to find these designs, because nature has been going forever with and without us, you know? So I don't know. It's just like little things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Well, again, I think exciting times are coming. It's important for everybody to be aware of what people like you are doing. I mean, it takes one person to just start this effort. Yeah. And again, this is going to change the lives of so many new home buyers or current homeowners and things like that. So I can probably say thank you for even taking this on, because I imagine it's a daunting task. I know we probably briefly talked about it earlier on, but again, you're taking on more or less huge home builders that have billions upon billions of dollars, and then probably taking on lobbying companies or just people that lobby the government to keep current standards. So this is a daunting effort, and I commend you for doing it. It's exciting to know that someone that's our generation that's taking this head on and be like, we're going to get it done. We're going to make sure that homes are built to last, and they're going to do everything we need them to do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. It's, you know, it's been 3 years of me in the fetal position, basically, to get this company going. But also, and I love, you know, for me with social media, like, all of the feed that I get is always, like, positive things that are going on around the world. And so what I love is I'm not the only one. Like, it's great that, you know, our generation is sort of taking this on. Our generation and below is basically like, okay, we got to do something. We got to fix the mess. And I mean, I think that's how a lot of people feel. And some people get very discouraged by it and get, you know, upset about it, because some people are like, oh, the world is screwed, like, you know, this and that. But I see it from a different perspective, because I see so many people around the world that are doing amazing things. And so, yeah, I might be the only one here in this area that's, like, really taking it on and going for it. And I plan to do it throughout the U.S. and, you know, go even global after that, you know, but at the same time, I'm not the only one that's trying to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what like makes me happy and makes me excited, because there's people all around the world that are doing their part and they genuinely want what's best.
Yeah.
And it's going to take all of us. And I always say at a collective level, we need it at a collective level to happen.
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself. I have to have other people, and we've got to do it like through love. Right now, everybody's so damn separated over stupid shit. So like, you know, like, but if we can just come together collectively and be like, listen, as humanity, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter the borders. Like, we have a problem as humans.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that, you know, even doing these podcasts and things like that, that we can sort of just spread the message of like love, and let's think outside the box, and let's start asking questions versus doing what we were told we needed to do. Start asking questions. So that's like my main thing now, I think.
Yeah. All about education right now. I mean, again, for how many things are going on in the world right now, it's all about making sure that you're as well informed.
Absolutely.
Buying your home is just as important as anything else right now. So it's, again, I commend you for doing that. It's exciting. I think it's for anybody that's looking to buy here in the future. It's something that we all have to be aware of.
Yeah.
So I guess as we wrap this up, I know you had a question that you said I need to think about.
Oh,
and I can tell you, I haven't been thinking about it. I forgot about it.
All right.
until right now. So.
Oh, great. Okay. So actually, I've got two questions.
Okay.
So on the house side, and I want to ask this, and I've been meaning to ask people this, and I just haven't yet. and anybody that's watching, I'm asking you too. So like, message me your response. So what do you hope to see in the future of housing, like features, anything like that? Don't think it doesn't have to be crazy, but what do you hope to see in the future of housing? And everybody else, I want y'all to like message me or comment or do something.
Yeah, leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a comment so I know.
For me, I'm kind of a nerd, albeit. So I think that's
we
easy.
All
yeah,
are
we all.
Ways. Yeah.
I've always said since I was a kid. Oh,
sorry about that.
No, you're good. Since I was a kid, I've always said, because I've played online video games my whole life.
Okay.
I've always said lag is the worst thing you could ever go through. And I've always said too, is like I'll know when I've succeeded when I have good internet.
Nice.
And it makes sense. The funny thing is, I was super excited when I first got this job too, because I was like, internet company, fiber optic internet.
I'm so excited for y'all, by the way. I cannot express.
I'm telling you, like, as someone that finally got it, I literally, where I lived to where I moved to, like where I bought it, one of the major reasons was just so I can get internet.
I don't blame you.
It's what I do. I mean, again, I do it for a living. Everything I have to do has to do with like uploading and downloading. So it's like, it makes sense, but especially how the world's going. But anyway, I've always said I'm a nerd. I play video games. My career is now revolving around having access to fast, reliable internet. So for me, it's always, I would love to see in the future of housing having everything run through fiber optic. Now, again, whether it's Live Oak, shameless plug.
I know. Hey, I'm here for it. I am all about it.
Everything has to be connected. So I wish that the future of housing, they look at all of these new technologies and kind of what you're talking about too. It's like, look for the best things that we can put into homes, what everybody wants. And that's one of them, is having reliable, fast internet. Yeah. Again, for me, it works out because no matter where, if I ever choose to move to a different state, city, wherever, if it has that option, I'm immediately more attracted to that home.
Yeah.
So for me, future of housing, if it's got good internet, you've already got me 1 foot in. Yeah. I've already started moving some stuff in. I just got to find that price. But I guess for me, that would be it. And then,
that's great.
Good ACs. I'm not used to the hot, I'm not used to hot air. So I'm from California. I was like 70-degree year round, so it needs a good AC too.
Nice. And that's really cool, because like even the designs that we're looking at, and I always try to say this, like sort of like giving a wink of like, the way you design the home, you can make it a lot more efficient where you're not having to constantly turn on the AC and turn on the heat. And without going too in depth, we are looking at the design of the home so that you can allow heat to escape and keep the cool air in, and which means that you don't have to run your AC as long, which means you got another low payment.
Just
especially
with, the price of electricity is going up. So, this is all viable options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
I think
that's all I got for the house.
Perfect,
I think so.
Perfect. Okay. All right. And then, so the last question is, tell me one thing that you're most proud of yourself for accomplishing this year. It can be personal or it can be business, doesn't matter.
Okay. I will say that finishing renovating the house was one of my biggest accomplishments.
That's a huge one, yeah.
I wish I could say, but unfortunately it was in September of 2023. I got engaged.
No, sorry.
But I'll say that's a big, just a shout, get some brownie points, babe.
Yeah.
Biggest accomplishment, getting engaged.
Yes,
But no,
yes.
renovating the house was fun. Me and my fiance, we went through like literally everything. We designed the kitchen. I picked out the flooring art. So everything is what we wanted it to be. And, you know, we were able to design our whole thing. So that was probably one of
That's awesome.
my biggest accomplishments so far. But moving forward, I mean, I just got a new car. It's kind of exciting, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. All right.
The adult things right now.
Adulting.
Yeah.
We're adulting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll accept it.
Yeah. It works. It works for now. I'll
For
come.
now.
Yeah.
For now.
But I have one
Yeah.
question for you, and I want to start
Okay.
doing this at the end of each podcast because our podcast is called The Fiber.
Nice.
And the idea behind it is that we wanted to bring in leaders, entrepreneurs, or just influential people of the community
Yeah.
because they are a fiber of the community. So we have you here,
Mhm.
and I wanted to ask, who do you think, or who do you want to shout out as someone that you believe is a fiber of the community that does just nothing but good? Who do you want to shout out? Who you want to give a little bit of praise to? And potentially we'll bring them into the podcast, who knows? But someone to just, you know, shout them out. Tell them that you appreciate them and everything they do.
Oh, that's so good. So, I mean, my first thought is my fiance, Bobby Wagner.
Shameless plug. There we go again.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Mayor of Destin. There he goes. So I want to say that one, but I'm like, I don't want to use my fiance as one because now people think I'm being partial. So I think my next shout out would be to one of you're talking about here.
It could be anybody, honestly. If it's from here, great. If it's someone that you knew when you were a kid, that works too. I mean,
Okay.
whoever you want to shout out.
Okay.
I want to leave that up to you. I don't want to restrict you on who you have to shout out.
Okay, cool. So then my shout out is going to be Devin Kearns, and which is my sister's partner, whom I absolutely love and has been a mentor to me, and actually one of like the main pillars like in my life as far as what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
And always like he's the voice of reason. He brings me back to my center. He's had to peel me off the floor when I'm in the fetal position of just like, no, I can't do it. And he's just like, okay, we're going to take a breath. And so he's just been a major mentor in my life. So that would be my shout out. And he does that for me, and he does it for a lot of different people, you know, around the world. So of just being that voice of reason and that voice of love and that voice of sternness and tough love when you need it. So yeah, that would be my shout out.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anytime you hear me say magical mentor or mentor, like on any of my stuff, that's who I'm talking about. So yeah, so that's my mentor, and I absolutely love him.
Well, I'll accept that one too then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rebekah, thank you so much for coming in today. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
everything that you're doing, and we're excited to see where everything takes you. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Fiber. Please, if you have any questions for Rebekah, I'll make sure to include her contact information in the description or on this video, or if you're listening to the audio version, I'll put it somewhere where you can get it.
Somewhere. We'll figure it out.
We'll have her
figure it
contact
out.
information. But
Yeah.
Rebekah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning into The Fiber. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. If you want to learn more about Live Oak Fiber, visit us at liveoakfiber.com.